सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे। ओम श्री हयग्रीवाय नमः। ओम श्री वल्लभा समेत श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः। So we are still in the topic of samvidah, Atmatva-upapattih. So this is going on for some time now. As I said, it's a very big and involved discussion. So in this, the last argument was summarized here. Okay, tasmad jnata ahamarthaha sabhasa ahankaraha eva. So the ahamartha should be the jnata. This is the position of the Vishishtadvaitin. In fact, we accept that in Vyavahara. And we even say the Vachyartha of ahamartha is the ahankara, which is along with the Chidabhasa, correct? That is the Sabhasa Ahankaraha eva Ahamarthaha. This Pratyagatma is just Jnana Swarupaha. Its very nature is Jnanam, and it is neither Ahankaraha because there is no I thought also in that, nor it is a Jnata. It is not a knower also. It is just Chaitanya Swarupam. It is shining by itself. That is the nature of the inner self. And that is the Aham Shabdasya Lakshyartha, we say. By the word Aham, what is implied is this Chaitanyam alone, really speaking. That is because that is what is there always. The Aham Kara, which is the I thought, also comes and goes. So it cannot be really the meaning of the word Aham. Although in Vyavahara and for Ajnanis, Ahankara itself is Atma. Okay, the Aham Shabdartha. And again, what Aham Janami Ityado Purvasya Grahanam means those who are taking the Ahankara as Ahamartha. For them, Aham Janami, all these things are true in Vyavahara. They also understand it in that manner alone. They take themselves as a knower, Karta Bhokta. But Aham Brahma Ityado Parasya iti means those who know the Swarupa of Atma, which is just Jnanam or Nyapti. For them, this Aham is really Brahma. It is not just the I thought or limited Ahankara. So this is the Sankshepaha. Finally, this is what we summarize like this. After the previous argument, this summary we saw. Now, a new argument is again starting. What Ramanuja has said is what? Nanu drishi karmanaha ahankarasya drishittvamiva drashtruttvamapi na upapadyate iti. So, the ahankara is the one which is doing the action of seeing or knowing, let us say. Drishi karmanaha ahankarasya. For that, drishitvam means, but it is not the real seer, correct? That's why, in fact, we talk about two seers and all that. And driftehe drashtaram is talked about in the Brihadaranyaka. So, if you say the drishitvam of the ahankara is not really ahankaras, but it is just adhyastha and ahankara really, because it is atma dharma is adhyastha and ahankara, we say. So the real seer or knower is only the atma. Therefore, what? The drashtritvam also cannot be there in the ahankara, because we impute the drashtritvam to ahankara, correct? Because the kriya, the jnana kriya, or the action of knowing, correct? The act of knowing cannot be there in Atma, because Atma is avikriyaha. That's how the Upanishad is revealing the Atma. Therefore, the vikriyatvam, or the change or modification which is required for an action to take place, is only in the ahankara, we say. So the drashtritvam is for the ahankara, or we have to say it is for the ahankara upahita chaitanya, really. So, because ahankara by itself also cannot be the karta, because it is ajada, sorry, it is jada, it is not ajada. So, what the Purva Pakshi is saying is what? The drashtritvam also is not tenable for this ahankara. But you people are saying Atma is not the drashta, but ahankara is the drashta and all that. Iti Ramanujaha tadayuktam. So that's not proper. Why? What we say is Tava mate mam aham janami iti drishi karmanaha atmanaha eva drishi kartritvasya tatva katam drishi kartuhu atmanaha drishi karmatvam iti. Okay, we are first pointing out in their siddhanta also the drishi karma, okay, is being done by the dharma bhuta jnanam, okay, and the atma is taken as a jnata. So the atma is involved in the drishi karma for them. So the one who is involved in this drishi karma, or the act of knowing, which is the self, is the one who is taken as the knower also, correct? Drishi kartritva is there, both are there. Okay. So how can you then say that you are taking it as Atma? We are saying that is actually Ahankara, correct? That is the only difference. The entity on which the Drishi Kartritvam is imputed and the Drashtritvam is imputed is different. You are saying the same thing about Atma, what we are saying about Ahankara. So why are you pointing a finger at me? That's what we are asking. Okay. Tava mate, in your mata also, Mamaham Janami is there. You say you accept that. Okay. And there also the Jnata and the Jnana Kartritvam, etc. The Jnana Karma and all is taking place in the same Adhisthana. So it is there. So why are you asking us? Then what? Okay, even then they come back, they say, Nacha mama matam astu dushtam tava matasya katam anavadyam iti vachyam. Okay, so now let us say, for argument's sake, they are saying, mama matam astu dushtam. Okay, let there be a defect in my opinion or my proposition. But how are you going to take care of this objection? Okay, how can ahankara, which is the one which is involved in the action of knowing, is also the actor? Okay, in that, if you say the ahankara is not, the drishitvam is not there in the ahankara, how can these two things be there in the ahankara? So how are you going to handle this defect, this objection, and still claim that there is no defect in your mata? Means you cannot raise this navachyam. Why? Mama mate mamaham chinadmi iti vat mamaham janami iti pratiti vashadeva kartritva karmatvayoho samanadhikaranya siddhihi iti siddhehe iti. So we already talked about this. In the case of kriya, like cutting, we accept kartri karma bhava. Okay. So similarly, janami being a kriya, okay, kartritva karmatvayoho samanadhikaranya can be there, we are saying. Okay. So here, this was already pointed out. with reference to kriya, this is possible, but with reference to knowing, it is not possible. We make a differentiation between this knowing and the act of knowing. Okay. So the act of knowing and the kartrutvam can be there in the same substantive or entity. So samanadikaranya can be there. Okay. Kartrutva karmatvayoho, you can say in one way. This is possible because in the case of ahankara, it knows itself also, we say, correct? When you say, I know this part also is known, but I know myself also, it is there, correct? The reflexive self-consciousness or self-awareness is there in the ahankara. So the reflexive self-consciousness, which makes it the karma, but the action also, the act of knowing also is there in the ahankara. These two things, that means the kartrutvam and karmatvam are there together in the same locus. This we accept in the case of action. Okay. So once we say this, what he is saying, nanu kim atmani aham buddhihi uta anatmani. So now the question is shifting. The aham buddhi, aham iti, whatever one knows, correct? Purana is there. The feeling of I, you can say, or the I thought, it is there in atma or anatma. Okay. If you say it is there in atma, then atma becomes karma, correct? Karma kartru virodha will come. So adye katam ahankarasya ahamarthata, then the ahankara also cannot be aham because it will be atma only, correct? And if you say no, this aham buddhi is in anatma, dvitiye kutaha gatadau anatmani na aham buddhi iti, then what? If aham buddhi is there in anatma, if we say even ghatadi etc., we should have aham buddhi, but it is not there. So like this, they are objecting now. Where this aham buddhi is there? Tell me. Is it there in atma or anatma? Means this is not a problem for us. Ma evam. It's not in the manner you are saying. What we say is what? Na kevala atmani aham buddhihi napi anatmani kevale. So what we say is what? It is not there just in atma also. The I thought cannot be there in atma. There is no question of being any thought. Because thought itself is a manovritti. And since thought being a manovritti by itself also, it cannot have any aham buddhi because it is jada. So then where is this aham buddhi? Means kintu adhyasa vishishte ahankare eva. So this aham buddhi is there when the atma anatma adhyasa takes place, correct? So the atma dharma is taken to be the anatma dharma. And the anatma dharma is taken to be atma dharma, and that is how all these things are happening. The anyonya adhyasa is there. So adhyasa vishishte ahankare eva. So the ahankara, which is having the atma adhyasa, correct? The chaitanya adhyasa is there. There only this aham buddhi we have to place, or it is actually the vishishta chaitanya, we can say in one way, correct? Ahankara vishishta chaitanya is where the aham buddhi is there, or ahankara upahita. If you take it as sakshi, it is better. For a jnani, it is aham is taken more as a sakshi. Then it is ahankara upahita chaitanya. So anyway, the upahita chaitanya is the one we have to say is the knower, or that is the one which is referred to as aham. Okay. Then what? Tatahi aham janami ityatra atma adhyasa vishishtaha ahankaraha ahamarthaha. Therefore what? If you take like this, then what? Even in aham janami, like that, whatever pratyaya is there, the cognition that I know, there also what? Ityatra atma adhyasa vishishtaha ahankaraha ahamarthaha. So there also the ahankara which is qualified by the Atma Adhyasa, there only the Aham Artha is, because the Aham is connected with Janami, correct? Aham is taken as the Jnana Kartri. So that Kartritvam is there in the Ahankara, which is Atma Adhyasta or Atma Adhyasa Vishishta. And similarly, when you say Aham Pashyami, in fact, the first Adhyasa is always with the Buddhi or the Ahankara or the Antakarana. Then that further goes on to the Indriyas and even the Sthula Deha. That's what he is pointing out. Aham Pashyami Yatra Anatma Bhuta Chakshur Indriya Adhyasa Vishishtaha Ahankaraha. So already Ahankara is Atma Adhyasa Vishishtaha. That Ahankara Vishishta, this Indriya, then becomes that there is a further Adhyasa is there, correct? There Anyonya Adhyasa. There we say I am the seer with reference to I am the hearer with reference to the ear, etc. That Adhyasa flows, you can say. And finally, it flows only up to the physical body. Aham sthulaha ityatra dehadi adhyasa vishishtaha ahankaraha iti. So the dehadi vishishta ahankara, which itself is Atma adhyasta vishishta, adhyasa vishishtaha. And because of that only, I am thin, I am fat, etc. With reference to the physical body also, there is a certain Aham Buddhi. So the Aham Buddhi flows starting from Ahankara onwards into the Indriyas and of course, the Prana also we have to take here, and the physical body itself. Okay. Even if we say this, what he's saying, what Nacha Aham Janami Ityatra Nasti Atma Adhyasa Vaishishtyam Ahankarasya iti Vachyam. Okay. Now they don't accept this. Okay, they are saying, in fact, they accept this kind of adhyasa with reference to the body, because they also know, they also say that jiva is not the body for them also, but they don't accept it with reference to the knower. This we have already seen. So they are still maintaining what aham janami ityatra nasti atma adhyasa vaishishtyam. So there is no qualification with that is, the ahankara is not qualified with atma adhyasa. In the case of aham janami, we don't accept that. Means you cannot say that. Why? Because they are saying atma abhasa vishishtaha eva. Okay, sorry. Okay, they cannot say that. Next they will come to abhasa. Here he is saying, here, yeah, tad abhave jadasya ahankarasya nyatritva yoga. So what we are first saying is, if you say this, then if the Atma Adhyasa is not there in the Ahankara, Ahankara cannot have Nyatritvam by itself, because Ahankara is only Jada. That is clearly coming out in the Srishti Prakriya in the Upanishad, correct? Because the Srishti Prakriya is talking about Ahankara as something which is created. In fact, there is even a separate discussion in some books about whether Jiva itself is created or not. Okay? Because some Agamas and all, they claim that Jiva also is created. That we don't accept. So anyway, here Ahankara is created, and it is all from the Pancha Bhutas only. It is Bhautika. Therefore, it cannot have Nyatritvam by itself. It is only Jada. So there has to be an Atma Adhyasa. Then only this Nyatritvam can be there in the Ahankara, we say. Once we say this, what they're saying, they are now making a differentiation between Adhyasa and Abhasa. He's saying, Nacha Atma Abhasa Vishishtaha eva tada Ahankaraha. So in that case, whatever you are saying, it is actually Atma Abhasa Vishishtaha, not Adhyasa Vishishtaha, they are saying. But even that they can't say, because really Abhasa and Adhyasa are not two different things for us, correct? So, na vachyam, you can't say that it is Abhasa Vishishtaha, but it is not Adhyasa Vishishtaha. Why? Abhasa Adhyasa yoho ekatvat Okay, we take this abhasa and adhyasa and all one only, correct? Whether you say superimposed or whether you say there is a reflection or an appearance or manifestation, all these things, or a distortion, whichever way you look at it, all these things are same. It's not there really, correct? But let us say there is a difference also if we concede. So he is saying first we say abhasa adhyasayoho ekatvat. But further what he is saying, bhede api, even if there is a difference, let us say between abhasa and adhyasa, now what we say, atma abhasena saha adhyasaha asti eva ahankarasya. Now we change it. What we say, it is not atma adhyasa, but atma abhasa adhyasa is there along with ahankara, and that is the one which is having this jnatritvam, which is also okay. In fact, even within Advaita Siddhanta, there are differing views about even the nature of jiva and this particular aspect of abhasavada. There is abhasavada and pratibimbavada and all that, and avachedavada. So many vadas are there. Whichever thing makes sense, we have to go with that. In fact, Bhashyakara uses all these different analogies in different places to make us understand whatever the Shruti is revealing. But stretching any one of those things again will be a problem, because anyway the Drishtanta cannot be 100% similar to the Darshtantika. That we have to keep in mind. So now we are saying Atma Abhasena Saha Adhyasaha Asti Eva Ahankarasya. So now we are saying let it be. Now if you say Abhasa also is there, it is different from Adhyasa, still we will say the Atma Abhasa Adhyasa is there along with the Ahankara. And what further, what Sacha Atma Abhasaha Atmanaha Pritak Bhutaha Eva Pratimukham Eva Mukha. So that Atma Abhasa is different. Like even the reflection of the face, we see, we at least in Vyavahara, we take it as different from the face itself, correct? So the Pratimukham, the reflection of face, is different from Mukha, which is Bimba, Pratibimba, like that we say, correct? The original and the reflection are different. Therefore, here also it is different. Therefore, Atma is not Jnata for us. That is the important thing. Jnatritvam is not there in the Atma. And again, why these two things are taken differently? Because Upadhi Vashad, Ekasya Evahi Mukhasya Dvedha Pratitihi. So there, in reality, there is only one face, but it is seen as two, correct? Original and Pratibimba, the Bimba and Pratibimba. That is purely due to the Upadhi or the conditioning factor or the reflecting medium, we can say here. The Upadhi here is the reflecting medium. So Upadhi Vashadeva Ekasya Evahi Mukhasya Dvedha Pratitihi. So in this manner, what evam antakarana upadhi vashad eva atmanaha api bimba pratibimba bhavaha iti. So if we take the antakarana, which is like sattva guna pradhana, correct? Because it is sattva guna pradhana, it has this ability to reflect our manifest consciousness. We have to say that, therefore, the same Atma is now looked upon as Bimba and Pratibimba, although there is only one Atma. But Vyavahara is there like this, as two. So the Antakarana is the Upadhi. Like even the mirror is the Upadhi for the face, here Antakarana is the Upadhi for Atma. Therefore, what Tasmad Avidushaha Aham Buddhi Vishayaha Vishishta Ahankaraha Eva. So what we are saying is for the Ajnanis, Avidushaha. So for those who are not Vidvans, their Aham Buddhi Vishaya, whatever they mean by Aham, correct? Their idea of I, self-identity, is nothing but the Ahankara, which is qualified with the Atma Dhyasa. But the Vidushaha, for the Vidwan, what? Vidushaha Aham Buddhi Vishayastu Viviktaha Pratyagatma eva. So for the Vidwan discriminates between the Antakarana or Buddhi and Pratyagatma, which is Shuddha Chaitanyam. So the Vidwan is doing the Vidwan as the Viveka Buddhi, we say. That is the Viviktaha here, correct? We discriminate and know the Atma, the Pratyeka the inner self, as something distinct from the manifestation of consciousness in the Buddhi. So the Vidwan doesn't take the consciousness itself as limited by the Buddhi. Even though the consciousness is available there, availability does not make it limited to only that. That is the main thing, in fact, correct? So for the Vidwan, the inner self is the Aham really, not the Ahankara, which is actually with reference to a particular Sukshma Sharira. Okay, now if we say this, what? The Purva Pakshi is coming. Nacha Ahankara Vidhure Kevala Atmani Katham Vidushaha Api Aham Buddhihi iti Vachyam. So now they are asking, if you separate the Ahankara from the Atma, how can there be any Aham Buddhi in that? Or Aham itself means Ahankara has to be there, they are saying. Okay. It has to be in the form of self only. And you are saying you will remove that and still you call it as that the Aham Buddhi is there, etc. How is it possible? So you cannot separate out Ahankara from Aham Buddhi. If Aham Buddhi is there, Ahankara has to be there. That is their argument. Means that also you can't say. Why? Ahankara upahite pratyegatmanyeva vidushaha aham buddhihi iti. So now instead of Ahankara Vishishta, we change it to Ahankara Upahita. Means the 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 Chaitanya, which is again appearing as Aham. It's not really Aham, in the sense that Aham, which is restricted to a particular Sukshma Sharira. So Ahankara Upahite Pratyegatmanyeva. So the Pratyegatma, which is again conditioned by the Ahankara, is the Aham Buddhi, or it is the Sakshi really. Okay. But even the Sakshyam, when the Sakshyam itself is not there, the status of being Sakshi also is Mithya only for us, really. Okay, but even then, when we talk about a Jnani in Vyavahara, Jnani can be taken as the one who identifies as Sakshi. Okay, and is not really doing anything. Okay, so this is what we say finally. Once we say this, what if you say Ahankara Upahita Pratyegatma has Aham Buddhi, then Aham Brahmasmi is not possible, he say. Because Brahma is Maya Upahita Chaitanya. How can that be this? Those two are different, they are arguing now. So he is saying, Nacha evam Maya Upahite Paramatmani Vidushaha Aham Buddhi Abhavat Katham Brahmatma Bheda Buddhihi iti Vachyam. So now he is saying, if you say Ahankara Upahita Pratyegatma is the Aham Buddhi of the Vidwan, then the Aham Brahmasmi is not possible, like you are saying, because there Brahma is Maya Upahita, Paramatma is Maya Upahita Chaitanya according to you, and those two are different. The whole idea of Upahita and Upadi only they don't understand that mean. Okay, because the Upadi Upahita concept is what? That Veda is not real, correct? The conditioning is not real. That is the whole idea. But he is saying like this. Means, but still that also they cannot say. Navachyam vai yadeva maya upahitam chaitanyam tadeva antakarana upahitam sate pratyegatma iti uchyate iti brahmatma bheda brahmatma bheda abhava. So what we say is whatever chaitanya is the maya upahita, the same thing is antakarana upahita. There is no difference in the chaitanya there, correct? That being the case, that is the Pratyegatma really. Then Brahman is Pratyegatma alone. Therefore, there is no Bheda. Okay. So, but in Vyavahara, a Jnani still, if the Jnani is identified with a particular body mind sense complex, then we have to say that Jnani is basically Ahankara Upahita Chaitanya. But Jnani knows It is only upahita, correct? Really the Atma is Chaitanya Swarupam alone. So this is where many people get confused. As soon as we say jnani, correct, it has to be only in Vyavahar. Because Brahman is not jnani also really, correct? Brahman is not jnani, but jnani is Brahman. That is the beauty, correct? This is where I think people get confused. They all have their own ideas about jnani and keep on arguing in different ways. Even within Advaitins, there are a lot of confusion is there. The basic thing one has to understand, if you understand that jnani is Brahman and jnani knows he is not jnani also. That is the beauty, correct? Jnani has the jnanam that I am not a jnani. That is jnani in fact. But that jnani is Brahman, but Brahman is not jnani. So that is the beauty of jnanam itself. So whenever we talk about a jnani, it is always in Vyavahara. And so whatever is applicable in Vyavahara, all these things we have to accept for a jnani, like prarabdha and all that, which Bhashyakara is accepting in so many places. And so the upahitatvam does not really mean anything because it is only mithya, correct? As soon as we say upahita, it is not real. So whatever is unreal, holding on to that, there need not be any big argument, I think. Okay. So, but anyway, this is a big confusion. Then unending debates are going on. Okay. Further, what nanu antakarana upahitasya atmanaha parichinnatva katam aparichinna brahma abhedaha iti vachyam. So again, see, they don't understand upahitatvam. That means what he is saying is the atma which is upahita by antakarana is limited. Obviously, because if you place the aham buddhi on a particular antakarana, correct, then it is limited to that body mind sense complex. How can it be the same as the Brahman, which is like Maya, Upahita, and Aparichinna? Okay, so Brahman is Aparichinna, and Antakarana Upahita Chaitanya is Parichinna. Therefore, there cannot be Abheda between Brahman and this Antakarana Upahita Chaitanya means that's not correct. Why? Antakarana Parichinnatvad Atmanaha na Antakarana Upahitatvam iti asmabihi uchyate. See, there is no real Parichinnatvam in Chaitanya. Antakarana is Parichinna, correct? Antakarana is limited. We accept that. But the Antakarana Upahita Chaitanya is not Parichinna. That is the whole idea of Upahitatvam, correct? Antakarana is the Upadhi. It is limited. We accept. Part is limited. You can even talk about part space, but that doesn't make space limited, correct? Or space is divided or anything like that. In fact, part itself is in space. So, this Antakarana is Parichinna, fine. But because of that, Atmanahana, Antakarana Upahitatvam, iti asmabhihi uchyate. Kintu Antakarane Upalabhyamanatvad is okay. So, what we are saying is, of course, Upahitatvam itself means that it is only as though. But even leaving that aside, what he is saying is, this Antakarana Upahitatvam means what do we really mean? He is saying that it is really that it's not that the Chaitanya itself has been limited by the Antakarana, correct? That is not the meaning. He is saying because the Chaitanya is available there, it is manifest there. This understanding goes along with the Pravesha Shruti also, what Bhashyakara says. So, Antakarane Upalabhyamanatvat. So we say that this Chaitanya is available there. Just because it is available there, that doesn't mean it is limited to only that place, correct? This is the other argument he is trying to make now. So, kintu antakarane upalabhyamanatvat, since the Chaitanya is available in the antakarana, we say it is antakarana upahita, not because it is limited by the antakarana itself. Okay. So, this way we are trying to point out that whatever is appearing somewhere need not be limited by that. Okay. Once we say this, what if you say this Atma is upalabhya or available or it is perceived in the antakarana, again they go back. What they are saying, Nacha evam atmanaha drishyatvam agatam iti vachyam. So now they are saying atmanaha drishyatvam agatam. Now if you say that Chaitanya upalabhya manatvam is there in the antakarana, then it becomes seen, he is saying. Okay. So atmanaha drishyatvam, it will become a seen object. Is there objection means that also they can't say navachyam. Why? Antakarane laya vikshepa shunye sati atma spurati iti etavata atmanaha antakarane upalabhyamanatva kathanat. So what we say by antakarana upalabhyamanatvam is, it is not that atma itself is known as an object in the antakarana. In fact, what we say is when there is no laya and vikshepa, again this is all somewhat Gaudapada Karika quotation. It's not directly, he's not quoting, but he is paraphrasing that. So when the laya is not there and vikshepa also is not there, that you don't go to sleep, but you are not distracted or only engaged in external objects, means you have a samahita chitta, we can say, then this Atma is just shining, correct? That is recognizable, he is saying. So at that time, or you can say even between two thoughts, what is there? If you focus on that, that can also be one kind of nidhyasana. Even between two thoughts, I am there always, correct? And you focus on that I. In fact, every thought is rising in I consciousness, it resolves into I, and that I alone is there as the consciousness always, and that is shining as the sakshi of even the thoughts. So in that manner only it is available, that which is shining always, but not as an object. So that is the sakshi we are talking about. Pramatuhu eva upalabdhatvat. So upalabhyamanatva kathanat. Okay, this purati we say in this manner means, okay, now the Purvapakshi is coming and what he is saying, Nacha upalabdhapi atma eva iti vachyam. Okay, see the atma is shining and that is what we are saying as it is cognized or it is available. But the one who cognizes also is atma. That's what he is saying now, the Purvapakshi. Atma now becomes the cognizer and the cognized. If you say it is available in the Antakarana, as even the Spuranam or whatever, its presence. So, Upalabdha api Atma eva iti vachyam, na vachyam. You cannot say that. Why? Pramatuhu eva upalabdhatvat pratyagatma hi sakshi. What we are saying is, the Pramatu also is known. That's why the Atma is called Drishtehe, Drashta, or whatever. Pramatur Pramata, we have to say, correct? It is the knower of knower, seer of seer. All these things just by its presence. It is only a sakshi. So the sakshi definition is very interesting even in the Paniniya Sutra. So in the 5th chapter, I think 5 to 91, this sutra is there. Now the Purvapakshi is quoting this sutra. In fact, originally we quoted this sutra before, I think, in some argument. So now he is saying, once we say this Pratyagatma is only sakshi, then what he is saying, Nanu sakshat drashtari sanyayamiti panini. पाणिनि अनुशासनात् साक्षी साक्षात् द्रष्टा एव न तु दृशिः अतः एव साक्षिणा प्रमातापि उपलभ्यते iti ma evam. So once we say that Pratyegatma is Sakshi, now they are quoting this Paniniya Sutra, Sakshat Drashtari Sajnayam, means the interesting point about in this sutra is a Sakshi or a witness cannot be involved in any activity. So this is the example. The example I would like to give here is one of like this registration and all that, correct? You go for a sale deed registration, the two parties which are involved in the sale themselves cannot sign on the witness column, correct? Witness has to be somebody else who is not involved in that activity, who is only doing witnessing, correct? Sakshat Drashtari means the one who is only witnessing only will get the samya or the moniker, you have to say, correct? It can be called as the Sakshi, but not the one who is involved in the activity. So that way, what we are saying is Atma is not the Jnata because Atma is not involved in the Jnana Kriya because Atma is Nishkriya. Therefore, that is why we say it is only the Sakshi of even the Jnana Kriya. But anyway, they are quoting this and saying Sakshat Drashtari is there, no? Therefore, this Sakshi also, when we say Sakshi, correct? Sakshina, by Sakshi, Pramata also one has to understand that Sakshi itself is the seer or the Jnata. So they take Drashtari, but we say that Drashtari does not involve any activity. It is just that Atma is lighting up. In its presence, all these activities are taking place. Atma itself is, even that Drashtari, Drashtuhu Drashtari is really only talking about the Nyapti Swarupa. Okay. So they are claiming that it is Pramata api upalabhyate because that Sakshat Drashtari is there in the Paniniya Sutra. Means if you say that it's not like that, why Sakshigatam Drashtritvam Vishaya Avasakatvam eva? So that's what we are saying. It is not really the act of knowing, it is simply that it is lighting up. Okay, Vishaya Avasakatvam eva. Even that's why we say Swayam Jyotihi. If we say Atma is Swayam Jyoti, it is not in the context of Atma knowing itself. There is no reflexive self-awareness is there only in the Ahankara or Antakarana Upahita Chaitanya, or Antakarana Vishishta Chaitanya. There is no reflexive awareness in the Atma. Atma is simply shining. It lights up everything. Whatever comes in its presence is lighted up. Like even the Surya. That is also we say, correct? Even though Surya is called Prakashakaha, Prakashita, etc. Trich Pratyaya and all you can use with reference to sun. But sun doesn't have any kartrutvam there, correct? Sun is simply shining. That is its very nature. You may claim that because of that the lotus bloom, the activities are taking place in the world and all that. But really, the kartrutvam or karayatritvam is not there in the Surya. It is being itself, that's all. Like that, the Sakshigatam Drashtritvam, whatever the Drashtritvam we say, the seer, even though the Atma is called a seer of sight, that seer, what we say, is only Vishaya Avvasakatvam. It's just signing. Okay? Because it is the one which knows whether the eyes are seeing or not, ears are hearing or not, tongue is tasting or not, etc. In that way, it is there. In its presence, all these activities are happening. It is throwing its light on all these things, but it's not having any kriya there. So natu jnatritvam iti asakrit uktatva. This has been said many times, he is saying. So here the sakshigata drashtritvam is only vishaya avabhasakatvam. It is not jnatritvam. This has been said many times. Okay, even after saying this, some more arguments are there. We'll see this in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.